flu.
The mistake y'all are making is you're taking these broad-based...
Y'all meaning women?
Yes, you women. You're taking these broad-based economic messages and showing how they affect women disproportionately, or how they might have affected women at all. You're missing the entire point. We don't want to look back to 4 years ago, the past 4 years. This actually is not incompatible with the message they've been sending all along. This is the whole idea, right? The idea is that we should look to the future, the next 4 years, because if we lose power, if we turn power over to the hands of these men, what they will do is ensure that you will not get fair pay. And you will not get your right to contraception. This is your future. This is why we must look for the next 4 years.
Yeah, it's a form of deflection, because don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain, because if you do, they'll see what a disaster this presidency has been for women, and instead they're saying, no, look over here, because they're gonna send us back to the 1950s where, you know, women were only supposed to stay home and have babies, which we all know is not true. But something else, which is another reason why Stephanie Cutter is saying that, you know, we've got to get these women out, and we need, you know, they're focusing on birth control and all these other nonsensical things, is because they need the single women vote, which Obama won by 45% to McCain, just single women between 18 and 34. So that right there, they've lost ground on. They need those people to go out and vote, because married white women vote overwhelmingly Republican. McCain won that vote +4.
Tara, here's what's
so they need to get those folks out.
Here's what's really interesting. NARAL put out a memo last November, we've talked about it before, where they talked about those women and called them women defectors, women who didn't intend to vote for Obama, who had in 2008. So is Stephanie Cutter also talking about those women that don't like what they've seen, who are themselves supporters of Obama?
Well, in 2010, Obama, women who voted for Obama in 2008 was +12 in 2010 voted Republican. So they lost that, you know, that percentage of the vote, and I think they see those numbers, which is why they're trying to fire that base up.
I obviously can't speak for women, but I see two political trends here, two things that tie in directly to the message of the campaign. One is really, Will, what you were hitting on here. They want to run based on how they can promise, based on what the future will hold. They want to return to a campaign-only posture, and that's across the board. So you see that recurring here, because the record is really pretty indefensible. The other side of this that I see is just the knee-jerk and absolute tendency at all times for Democrats to view people as groups, as sort of special interest groups. To treat women, who are more than 50% of the population, as sort of a special interest group, to be pandered to and to try to be separated out from the rest of America, makes no sense unless that's how you constantly view.
And actually, I mean, the message that Stephanie Cutter unwittingly put out there is actually incredibly insulting. To A, describe women as a single group with a single interest, B, as a lock for him. I mean, basically what she is saying is they're not going to think. They're just going to vote for us. And worse, they're not going to consider what happened over the past 4 years to their homes, their families, their checkbooks, gas prices, their jobs. They're not going to make those calculations. Women are this single-minded and also kind of thoughtless that we are just going to be hook, line, and sinker.
They take the vote for granted.
It's absolutely, it's really insulting.
And interestingly, selfish, that the only thing we care about is our own reproductive choices, and as you say, not our families, what have happened
and not
to
getting pregnant.
Exactly, and that's all we care about. But, you know, the inconsistency of this, of course, is we're not supposed to remember the last 4 years, but we should remember George Bush. And what George Bush was doing to us, apparently, the 8 years prior. So none of it makes sense.
The Bush administration that helped more women own businesses and homes and jobs and everything else. They don't want to talk about George Bush and what happened with women, because women were much better off. There weren't as many on food stamps. There weren't as many on government assistance. I mean, you know, but Stephanie Cutter and these people and their ilk, she is really despicable. I can't stand her. She's a liar. She's a bomb thrower, and she still has a job. And the media does not call her out. This is the same one that called Mitt Romney a felon. They put out this ad about Mitt Romney killing a factory worker's wife. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Let's just be clear, though. Stephanie Cutter here, and this is where I disagreed with you, Essie. This isn't a departure. This isn't an inconsistency. This is brutal honesty. This is how they view it. This is a moment of truth.
Absolutely.
Well, I smelled this a mile away when, way before even the DNC, which was stacked with folks like Lilly Ledbetter and the president of Planned Parenthood and Sandra Fluke and NARAL. I smelled this back a year ago when Congress was in on it. Democrats in Congress were trying to expand the Violence Against Women Act and started yelling about how it needed more protections, like protections for men even. I mean, it was preposterous and a great way to sort of gin up this fear among women that Republicans were going to take away their rights. It's not working.